Okay. One good activity for a storytelling workshop at the beginning is to invite people to talk about something interesting that happened in the last 24 or 48 hours. This is a good activity in the sense that you're not asking anybody to remember anything. There's no pressure to get it right. You are basically just asking them to, think about something in their own lives and share it. And some people will say, this is not even storytelling, right? This is just my life. But it is story, because by the time you remember it and decide it was significant, you choose a beginning, a middle, and an end. And along the way, you cannot help it. You will also communicate how you feel about what happened. And you hope your listeners agree with you. They see it the same way, that it was bad behavior by somebody, good behavior, unusual, amazing. If I think it was good behavior and you think it was bad behavior, we will not be part of the same society. We will not be part of the same community. So just discussing what happened and how do you feel about it, that is a basic building block of culture. And it is also a good opening warm-up activity for a storytelling workshop. You see, this workshop, it is a workshop in storytelling, but it is also a workshop in conducting a workshop. In other words, you will be trained to conduct a storytelling workshop. I'm the kind of a trainer, I like to train other trainers. So I'm recommending this activity. And as I will throughout, I have one very strong recommendation, which is if the characters speak in your story, if they have any dialogue with another character, let the characters speak for themselves at a certain point. In other words, let the narrator say, so at that point I said to her, ... Let the character speak for herself. Don't just give a report about what she said. Don't give a summary. Don't give an outline. Let her actually speak for herself, whether the character is you or somebody else. Okay, so take a moment and think about, did something happen yesterday or the day before, something unrelated to this workshop, that has stuck out in your mind, for better or for worse, and something you can tell us about. The thing about telling stories about your own life, half of it is so embarrassing we cannot tell anybody anything. But the other half that we can tell, that's okay. So just take a moment and think about what has happened in the last day or two that was really, that's still on your mind.
I haven't donated blood so far in my life. Yesterday I saw a post in a group, Facebook group. The lady, she asked, she said her brother's friend got admitted in a hospital and he needs O positive blood. So that hospital is just 10 minutes from my place. So I just called the person, I went to the hospital and they checked my blood, HP count, everything was normal. And they're about to take my blood. Suddenly a nurse asked, do you have thyroid? There are 4 people there in the room, the technicians. Nobody asked about that. This lady, she asked me about thyroid. I said, yes, I have thyroid. I'm taking medication. She said, I can't donate the blood. I was shocked. If she didn't ask, they would have taken my blood and they would have given the blood to that person. So I felt very bad because I'm not able to donate blood in my life.
Okay, well.
That's the main thing. Third thing means the other technician would have taken my blood. It was very shocking to me. And that hospital is the biggest hospital in Madurai. That one incident from yesterday onwards, even I came in my dream also. I was thinking about that one yesterday. So I felt very bad about me because I didn't aware of these things. I just went there straight to give the blood, and those technicians also didn't ask about this. Only one technician asked me about this. 4 people were there. Only one technician asked me about this. I just lied down on the bed also to give the blood. Everything was ready. Suddenly she asked you, do you have thyroid?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what popping in my mind. That's only popped in my mind when you asked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, since you told something about a hospital, I will also tell about a hospital. I was planning to tell something else, but I will tell.
Okay.
So yesterday, after 2 years, I went and had a medical checkup. I was was it yesterday or the day before? 2 days ago. So in Chennai here at Apollo Hospital, part of the package of the check is they make you walk on a treadmill and they measure your heartbeat as you're walking on the treadmill. And I know this test because I took it 2 years ago and more. They make the treadmill, first it's slow, then faster, faster, faster. Finally, you have to run. And you get to a point where it's too much. So I thought I would do it, but after about 3 or 4 minutes, it was going so fast, and I was running, and I was losing my breath, and I was I did not feel comfortable, so I jumped off of it. So I felt bad, that I had quit in the middle of the test. And I asked the people, okay, do I have to do it again? But it seems they were satisfied, and they said your heart is perfectly normal. It's okay. So it seems the test gave them the information they needed, nobody scolded me for jumping off the treadmill. But now what I'm thinking is that they should tell you if it's going too fast and you're running too fast and you're losing your breath. They should tell you you can jump off of it, because many people will be so proud they will not jump off of it. They will continue. They will get a heart attack.
That's true.
They will get a heart attack from the test, which is supposed to test their heart. So I haven't spoken with with anybody at the hospital about this, but I'm planning to tell them to give people permission to jump off of it when they want to jump off of it. Okay, that's my story.
And may I go next?
Yes.
Yeah. Like just one question. Like, shall it necessarily be the previous 48 hours, or?
No, it can be anytime you like.
Has to be important enough to.
That's right.
Right. Okay.
Something that's still on your mind.
Yeah. So I would actually try to focus on something that happened by Wednesday this week.
Mm-hmm.
There is this girl who always kept on thinking that she is Princess Vasilisa. Okay, for your information, like Princess Vasilisa is a fabled character of Russian fairy tales.
Yes.
Okay, so she always believed that she is stuck up in the wrong place and she has to fight out all the battles, and someday she might actually discover her palace. And then she goes through like a medley of things and everything, and then she also has to change places, work at a different place. And now what happens? Suddenly something happens. A workshop happens. Okay, this workshop happens to be like she's in a new work environment, and influenced by her friends, she decides to join an NLP workshop. Okay, now mind you, we are talking about this girl who still believes she is Princess Vasilisa, but somehow she has lost the connection with it, with the same belief. Okay, so she goes ahead, does this workshop, and she comes back with a bug, sort of a magic bug implanted in her head, that you are what you want to be, and you should not wait for the magic to happen. You just say it and the magic happens. So the first thing this girl does, just to test her magical skills, whether magic really exists for her or not,
Wait, we are.
had this dream of doing something for animals. Okay, she animal shelter fertility. Oh my God, this is like one box tick. Second thing is that she always thought that wow, if I could actually say, spread the word, show the world that I have magic in me. How could I do that? Through spells, through talking. Okay, so one way would be a storytelling, something related to storytelling. But hey, is really something like storytelling even? Does it ever exist? Is there a training course or something? How can I become someone like that? And like googling up help, and lo behold, there is this person. Okay, he actually has done a PhD in folklore, and he is available for a course. And then she thought that okay, now probably I'm not ready. Why not ready? Because the course fee structure says that it's 7,000, and like she has just got back from a very expensive trip. Okay, which again she gifted to herself that okay, there is no bar in life. Just go ahead and live your life. Okay, she gets back and thinks no, I have to be in a sort of a money saving mode. And then I said that then okay, you must have noted that I have already shifted to I. Then this other person, the fairy person in the at the back of the mind said, hey, if you do not spend for yourself, who the hell is going to? If you do not live your dream, who the hell is going to? Just go and give a call to this person and let's see how it works out. And now this person calls up Dr. Eric Miller, has a conversation, and now the very next Sunday, 3 days afterwards, that person becomes Devlina in a group chat. It's a part of a fairy tale coming alive. It's a very personal fairy tale in the series of events.
Nice story.
Wonderful. You have jumped ahead 10 steps because you, okay, first of all, you told about our workshop. And second of all, you told it in the third person. You told it not as if it happened to you, but you told about a woman who did such and such. And it seems that woman, is she Vasilisa or she's related to Vasilisa somehow? Is it?
Yeah, I get it. I'm
yeah, but that's good. It's good, but you're jumping ahead because the standard way that we will come to fantasy in this workshop is first tell about things that actually happened in real life, and then switch it to an external character and add metaphors and turn it into a fairy tale. So you skipped the beginning, the first and second step. You jumped all the way to the fairy tale, which is okay. It's okay. I appreciate your spirit. Anyway, Surekha, tell us something that has nothing to do with this workshop that happened to you in the last day or two.
Yeah, I have a lot because I have 2 children. Daily it is an adventure.
Okay.
Okay. So yesterday there was a meeting in my son's school. My son is 1 year and 11 months old. It is 1 week that since he joined the school. So yesterday was a meeting. Me and my husband were surprised. What would be the meeting be like for a boy who is just 1.11 months old? So we were there, and we didn't have chairs there. They asked us to roll the mat and sit on the mat. You should be knowing. So it's a Montessori school. So what the child is, what the parents are supposed to do. So we sat on the mat, and the teacher came. She was talking. She was giving a lecture. She told what a school is, blah, blah, blah. Then she told me, she gave us a lot of advice. One that struck my mind was, when you feed your child, you don't play any videos for them, or you make them sit and eat. If they are not eating, tell them the story, so they get fascinated, they forget what they do, and they eat. Also in food that's going to be healthy and all in your stories, so it's going to be really fun for them when they eat. Okay, that was the only thing that stood on my mind, and we came back home. And evening, my son is good, but my daughter, I took that advice for my daughter. My son is good at eating, I don't have an issue. So my daughter is not good at. So evening, I bought a piece of cake, and I said, come on, eat it. She said, no, 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 I'm not going to eat it, I don't like cakes. I said, will you eat if I feed you? She said, yes, mama, fine. Then I fed her the cake. And I was telling her the gingerbread man story. Okay, everybody must be knowing. So she was used to that story. It was new, not new for her. But my son, who I never knew he will be so attentive to sit and listen to the story, who sat and also listened to the story. And I felt, yeah, story really works with my children, not only with 5 years old, but also with 2 year old. And this has nothing to do with the workshop what I'm doing, because I already made my, Eric must be knowing, I already made my mind to attend the workshop. So today I was a bit confused because it's a Sunday, and will I be able to sit for the class, because we were talking for a Wednesday class and this is going to be on a Sunday. So I was thinking, and finally I'm here in the class, and it's going on well. So I think it will go ahead the same way.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay, so this story was about going to your child's school and them telling you different conditions about what you should do, how you should feed your child.
Yeah. How we should take care of them at home, what we are supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do, because the school system is something, and they don't want us to deviate the child from the system. They want us to follow similar stuff at home. So they gave us few advice on that.
And how did you feel about their advice?
New to me, and it was genuine, it was good. Otherwise, let me go ahead with my own style. That's what I felt. Because it was a Montessori school, they told us, for you don't teach ABCD to children, you teach them phonics, certain things like that, some advice on what kind of food we should give them. And one more thing that really strike me was, they said, you don't talk anything bad about the child or the school or the teacher in front of the child. No negative points about the child or the teacher, about the school, in front of the child. This again, I noticed with my daughter, not with my son, because I recently our school timings have changed from 2:30 to 4. So they wind up the school by 4 o'clock, which I felt was very difficult. I thought it would be difficult for my daughter. I was talking about this in front of her, and I saw the impact on her. The next day she came, Ma, school finishes at 4 o'clock, I'm really tired. So it was my mistake again, where I spoke about this issue in front of her. So that advice was a valid one, is what I felt.
Okay, good. Good, okay. Well, there are different ways to now develop this activity. One of them is to take the story that you told and, like you did, Debalina, tell it a second time as if it happened to an external character. You see? Instead of saying, I went to my daughter's school, you would say, there was a woman who went to my daughter's, who went to her daughter's school. Or there was a woman who went to the hospital and wanted to give blood, but they would not take her blood because of some issue. So by externalizing it to a character, it gives you a different point of view about what happened. Sometimes it becomes funny, but anyway, it gives a different idea about it, and it turns it more into a story, because it's no longer just about your life, it's about a story out there. And then you might also change some other details, because you're no longer tied down to reality. All right, let's go on. I want to show you a few recordings of some leading USA storytellers, just to give you ideas and options about what you can do as a storyteller. So now I'm hitting screen share. share computer sound. Yes. And let's see if I can really do this. Yeah. Okay. Now I need to know if you're going to hear this sound. If you hear the computer sound, maybe raise your hand. Okay, good. Debolina, it's coming?
To have a good story, you have to have three things all working together. There's the teller, there's the listeners, and there's the story. And that triangle has to work. So if you've chosen a story that works well for you, that you have a connection with, and your listeners have a connection with, can have a connection with, then that's a good story for them.
He took down the sail. He wrapped the sail about him and he said, "Sail, keep me warm." But the wind said, "A sail can't keep you warm. I'll freeze you, Kagan." And he blew down from the north, bringing
Okay, wait.
And ice.
Wait.
Stories exist.
So she was playing a character there, right? She was playing the wind. And just a second. Yeah, she was playing the wind, and the wind said, "A sail can't keep you warm, you won't be warm," right? So she's elongating some of the vowels and using a deep voice to represent the wind. So that's the first thing I want you to notice. She's good at playing different characters and speaking as different characters, okay?
As murals in caves, which are kind of the labyrinth of our life. And that what people do is they turn on the light. When they tell a story, they just turn on a light. And suddenly you can see the mural of the story whole. And he heard a long calling down the sea, her singing, "Kagan, Kagan, Kagan. Turn ye now to me, turn your back unto the wind, and all the weary windy sea, Kagan."
I think a good story.
Okay, that is, I think that's a mermaid, you know, half woman, half fish, who's singing to the sailor, and that character is singing, right? She's singing, "Kagan, Kagan, turn ye now to me." So that is really very thrilling when you can have a character or a narrator singing that really gets people's attention. You probably don't want to do it in the business world, but certainly you can do it with children. So I want you to experiment with using rhythm in your voice. See, now I'm using rhythm in my voice. It's kind of like rap. I'm not using melody, but I'm using rhythm. Sometime go off alone and talk to yourself in a rhythm like this. And then see if you can have a character talk like this. And with melody, take a melody from a favorite song. This melody is from a USA pop song. And see if you can speak in the melody and make up the words as you go along. You might speak some words and then go into the song and then come back into the words. You can go back and forth. It's a lot of fun. So a lot of fun, especially for your audience. So try that, and I'll ask you to demonstrate it next time, if you can bring some rhythm or some melody into your voice. Now I'm going to jump ahead because many of these people memorize what they're doing and they make it rhyme. So I've been trained that that's not really storytelling. That's reciting a poem. So I'm going to just show you the ones where they don't say it as a poem. And what this fellow was doing, he's dressed up as a cowboy, you know, a USA cowboy. Many professional storytellers will do that. They will present themselves as a member of a particular community and tell stories about that community it's like they're acting as a representative of that community. But other people, like, okay, this is my teacher, and this is maybe 10 years ago, so she looks younger than me, but she's 10 years older than me. Anyway, she, like me, we don't present ourselves really as a member of any particular community. Of course, we are, but we like to say, I'm just a global citizen, and I'm telling one story from Australia, one story from Mexico. So I'm not trying to act as an ambassador from any particular community. Okay, here's Laura.
What is that story about? And I can tell them exactly what I heard. Even at that moment, they're hearing a different story than the one that I'm telling and the one that I heard. And then inside that is a kind of explosion of visual images that is a secret story, secret to me, the teller, and the audience.
So I think she's really saying that every, as a public speaker, you have a unique relationship with each listener, because each listener has a different associations with every image, with every incident. So you have to treat your audience members as individuals. Now, this gentleman is singing a very nice song about his people were kidnapped from Africa and brought to the USA as slaves, but I'm not going to call it a story because it's memorized as a song with rhymes. This man is a real storyteller. Let's see.
I think I like the performing part of it. That comes from my mother. My mother can go to the supermarket and it becomes an epic. When she comes back, she's playing all the characters. You know, a whole story happens. So I think it's probably always been in my blood to tell stories.
In a little village in Hungary, up in the mountains, there lived a shoemaker. He was a good shoemaker. But better than that, he was a wise man. He knew the answer for everything. No matter what you came and asked, he would know. His fame spread throughout the entire country. Rich men, noblemen would pull up to his shop in huge carriages. They would squeeze into the little shoemaking shop just to get a moment of his time.
I think it's important to tell stories about your life. When you start to tell the stories, then suddenly it's like you draw your own attention to your own life. So I think that's really important. And above and beyond that, you know, the stories from your tradition, from all the traditions, there's some wonderful laughs, wonderful tears, and wonderful teaching and all of those things.
That must be the shoemaker. I knew he was a great man. Look how he's dressed. He said, please, please, come in, come in. And he invited him in. He treated him with honor, with respect. After the wedding, he placed him in the place of honor next to the bride and groom. He proposed a toast to the new couple, health and happiness. Everyone rose and drank down that wine. That is everybody but the shoemaker. He just stood there holding his wine. Everybody looked at him. They leaned toward him. They expected him to say something wise, but he didn't say a word. He just pulled his pants away from his body and poured the wine down his pants. Well, some people laughed. Some whispered. Nobody knew what to do. But you know, the whole meal was like that. He took off his hat and he very carefully spooned in peas. He took cabbage balls and put them into the one pocket of his coat, and chicken paprikash and put it into the other. And then he squashed them. Finally, Samuel leaped up and he said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? I thought you were a wise man. I thought you'd come here and teach us something. You're acting like a fool." And the shoemaker said, "I've been teaching you ever since I sat down. You see, I was the man you threw out this morning. And you threw me out because you thought I was a beggar. And you thought that because of the clothes I wear. When I came back, dressed in the clothes of a rich man, you treated me with honor and respect. It seems you didn't want me here at all. You wanted my clothes. And so, I'm feeding them." And with that, he took a glass of tea and said, "Drink well, my coat." He poured it into his pocket, and he left. Fools look at men's clothes. Wise men see their souls.
So he told his idea of the moral of the story with a proverb. And I might have mentioned, I don't think it's so great for a storyteller to announce the meaning of a story afterwards. I think it's much better to have a discussion with the audience members so everybody can contribute their own understanding of what the story meant. But in a situation like this, a big crowd on a stage, I guess there's no opportunity for that. So in that case, a professional storyteller might be the only one who can, say the moral. But it's certainly in a classroom, it's much better to ask everybody what meaning they got out of it. Let's watch a little bit more.
So the giant.
No, he tells Jack and the Beanstalk, using this string as a very clever prop for a beard, a hair, but as I say, it's all memorized and it all rhymes. This is Diane Ferlat, wonderful storyteller, fantastic sense of rhythm, and we'll watch some of her other recordings on some other day.
Parents' porch, grandmothers, grandfathers, uncles, and my father definitely, telling stories, about this and that. But I really didn't know how important stories were. I took it for granted, because everybody told stories. It was different back then. No one Nintendo or TV and stuff, so it was just something we did. So I got to love hearing the old folks talk. And I tend to like those kind of stories that are drawn from my roots down south.
Eve said, "Adam, honey, why don't you put up the stove while I hang the curtains?" Adam said, "How come you can't put up the stove and I hang the curtains? You just as strong as me. The Lord gave us the same amount of strength. How come you always trying to push the heavy stuff off on me?" "Oh, Adam, there's men's work and there's women's work. Just wouldn't look right to me be doing all that heavy stuff." Adam said, "Look right to who? We ain't got no neighbors yet."
And there then a door at the knocking came.
Nope. This guy does a form of speaking where everything is backwards. It's sort of a language game. But let me jump ahead. I'll send you the link to this whole recording. This whole recording is 20 minutes. You can watch it on your own if you like.
I began to discover rhythms. Storytelling allows sound. With my own children, I would hear rhythms like raisins, raisins, all we are is raisins. It's so different in print. Oh, woe is me bones, oh, woe is me bones. Story about bees, and I would watch my son's eyes. And, if he got bored, I'd change the scene. But if he liked it, woe is me bones, I'd keep the story. So because of them, I was discovering that this is different. It's not print, it's sound. And sound is musical. And suddenly, I realized this is a whole medium.
And then the fool, he leaned against his favorite tree. And he prepared to tell a story. He waited for his audience to gather. And before he started, he saw Todd, the poet's son, hiding behind a hedge. Todd had never came. And then his audience gathered. A fly flew down and twitched nervously on his head. A mosquito sat upon his cheek and was about to take a bite. And then the bees were followed by the fairies. And the fool began. Episode 67. Penelope, the girl with 100 rainbows in her pockets. Penelope.
And it's so human. You use the voice and you use your eyes and you use your personality.
That I find interesting. You use your personality. Isn't that odd? To think that, usually we think, I'm just a normal person. I'm a regular person. I don't really have a special personality. I'm a regular guy or gal. But it's an illusion. In fact, each one of us has a very unique, distinct personality. But we're often not aware of it. But when we get on stage, boy, everyone sees it. Everyone is, they're assessing us and judging us. We can't help it. And they see our personality. So he is saying, don't try to hide your personality. Really understand what is your personality and use it in terms of the stories that you choose to tell and the way that you tell a story. capitalize on your personality. So this is related to the life story work that you'll be doing in a couple of weeks, to find out who you really are in relation to other people, in relation to society. He's saying, use that on stage.
You sense you're really talking to another human because stories bring that out. So I love the humanness, and I love the sound, and I love the intimacy of storytelling.
Every time I tell a story, I'm telling not one story, but if it works well, everyone who hears that story is telling their own story along beside it.
This is actually a similar point to what Laura was saying before, about how everyone has a different experience of what the storyteller is putting out.
My real goal is to craft the story so that when a person hears it, they will say either, I've been there, or I've known that person, or something like that's happened to me. Finally, after traveling up and down the street all day, at 4 o'clock, exactly at 4 o'clock, we would arrive at the place we had started out for in the morning. Because at 4 o'clock, my little brother and I would follow our mother as she walked faster and faster and went straight in the door of the Lady Fair Beauty Salon. When I'm working with description, I want to be very careful, and that's one place where the audience is a real guide. I don't want to show them every leaf on every tree because it's boring, and it sort of violates their integrity as intelligent listeners. Now, this was a proper establishment, not wide open, where you could see transformations that weren't any of your business to start with, but with little booths that they sort of disappeared into, looking one way and came out all changed.
Okay, I think that's enough of that recording. As I say, I'll give you the link to the whole 25 minutes. Let's see, stop share. So let's just review some of the points that came up. Number one, it's good to use different voices and different styles of moving. Sometimes people call this voice modulation and body language. But it's not just modulation, it's actually acting. You know, this is an acting class because you're going to understand who the characters are, how they feel, their histories, their personalities, and then naturally you'll be able to move and speak like those characters. What else? What else came up in that thing? Diane Ferlat especially she has such great timing. Remember she said, "We ain't got no neighbors yet." She said that at just the time that people could understand it and they would laugh. Many times a pause is a very valuable tool for a public speaker. See, storytelling is a form of public speaking that also involves acting. So when you slow down and you take a pause, that really draws people in. Beginners in public speaking think, oh, I just have to talk really fast and talk loud and keep their attention the whole time. But that is an illusion. If you have to do that, that means you're desperate. A really fine speaker will be able to speak slowly and take a pause, and people will be drawn in. As I think one of the early guys said, you have to choose a story that people can relate to. Mm. And, you know, I would say in general that the two most basic rules of storytelling, it should not be boring and it should be clear. So clarity means from the very beginning, you set up a situation where we understand what the characters are going through, what situation they're in. And if a character's in a situation, usually the character wants to improve the situation or change the situation, right? Even the word situation. I'm in a situation. That means I'm in trouble, right? I got a situation. That means I want to do something. So you have to present the situation that they're in, and then, you know, what situation they're trying to get in, how they're trying to change the situation. And if you present it clearly, then people will understand it and they will identify with the characters. Okay, any other thoughts, comments, questions about anything that has been discussed today?
So the next class would be on Sunday.
Planning for next Sunday, and that it would be about animal fables, which is very easy.
Can we make it on any weekdays? Because Sunday is the only day we can be with family. And Sunday actually I used to have late lunch only.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I'd ask, what do you say? Sareka?
I'm okay. I'm okay if it's on a weekday.
Debalina, what do you say?
Could be an issue for me because I have my college till 5:30. So if it is in the late in the evening in weekdays, I think I would make it possible.
Yeah, that should be fine. 7 to
Yeah,
9. 6
for me
to
also
8,
okay.
Whatever.
7 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay?
Yeah, 7 to 9. Okay. Just one thing. 7 to 9. Would Saturday be okay?
Yeah.
Saturday 7 to 9. Eric, how about you?
Okay with me.
Okay. So
Okay.
Saturday 7 to 9 would be fine from my side. In the evening, I believe, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, in the evening.
Yeah, it's okay.
But nobody has to put a child to sleep at that time? Somebody else will do it? Your
No,
husband?
that's fine.
I'll be booked and I'll go home at 9 only, after 9. So I'll be in the bookstore, no issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so 7 to 9?
You have to speak with the other member, no? What's her name? Sorry, I don't remember her name.
Anandita. Yes, we recorded the first half of the session, and now we're recording now again. Here, let me stop recording.